train when you don't want to. That sentence is a line in the sand. Because every man trains when he feels like it. Every man trains when he's motivated. Every man trains when life is easy, when sleep was good, when the day is calm, when the mind is clean. That is not discipline, that is convenience. The question that separates men is simple. Who are you when you don't want to? When your body feels heavy? When your mood is low? When the weather is ugly? When work drained you? When your head is loud? When you're angry? When you're tired? When you feel like doing anything except training? That is the moment that forges you. Because the men who win long-term are not the ones with the best workouts. They're the ones with the most consistent identity. And identity is built on the days you wanted to quit and didn't. Most men treat training like a hobby. Something you do if you have time. Something you do if you feel good. Something you do if you're in the mood. And then they look in the mirror and wonder why nothing changes. They say they want to be strong. They say they want to be disciplined. They say they want to be respected. But they live like training is optional. Son, let me tell you the truth. Training is not about muscles. Training is about sovereignty. It's about being a man who can command himself. Because if you can't command your own body, you will not command your life. Your body is your first battlefield. If you surrender there, you will surrender everywhere. You will surrender at work. You will surrender in conflict. You will surrender in your mission. You will surrender in your marriage. Because the same weakness that tells you to skip training will tell you to skip responsibility. It's the same voice, different costume, and that voice is not your friend. It is your enemy wearing your own thoughts. So we're going to talk about what it really means to train when you don't want to. Not as a motivational poster, as a law of life. Because this is one of the simplest ways a man builds respect for himself. And if you don't respect yourself, don't expect the world to respect you. Let's start here. There are two types of men. Men who need a feeling to act, and men who act because they decided. The first man is ruled by mood. He is emotional weather. He is strong when he feels strong. He is disciplined when life is calm. He is productive when he's inspired. Then life shifts, and he collapses. The second man is ruled by standard. He doesn't ask how he feels. He checks what the standard is. Then he executes. That man becomes dangerous because he is reliable. A reliable man is rare, and rarity is power. Now, why is it so hard to train when you don't want to? Because your brain is designed to conserve energy. It wants comfort. It wants predictable pleasure. It wants to avoid pain. In the wild, that kept you alive. In modern life, it keeps you weak. Your brain doesn't care about your goals. Your brain cares about survival and comfort. So when you decide to train and you don't feel like it, your brain sends resistance. It sends excuses. It sends fatigue. It sends doubt. It sends negotiation. And most men obey that resistance like it's truth. It's not truth. It's just programming. So the first thing you learn is this. The feeling of not wanting to train is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that you're exactly where you need to be. Because that feeling is the doorway. On the other side of that doorway is discipline. And discipline is what makes men free. Here's the next truth. The best training days are not the days you feel great. The best training days are the days you show up anyway. Because when you train on a bad day, you are not just building your body. You are building your mind. You are teaching your nervous system a message. You are saying, we do not obey moods, we obey standards. That is how you become a man, with calm under pressure. Because pressure is just a bad day, with higher stakes. So if you can execute under low stakes, you will execute under high stakes. That's readiness. Now, let's destroy a lie. The lie is, if I don't feel like it, I won't have a good workout. That's a weak man's excuse. Training is not a performance. Training is attendance. Some days you will hit personal records. Some days you will move lighter weight. Some days you will just get a sweat and leave. The goal is not perfection. The goal is identity. Your body changes from consistency, not intensity. Intensity helps, but consistency is the foundation, and consistency is built by showing up when you don't want to. So you need to stop thinking of training like a mood activity. You need to think of training like brushing your teeth. You don't feel like brushing your teeth. You do it because it's part of your standards. Training needs to become that. Not emotional, not dramatic, normal. Now, let me be practical, because the mind loves to romanticize. When you don't want to train, you need a battle plan. Because the version of you that wants comfort will try to win through delay. He will say, I'll train later. Later is where discipline goes to die. So you need rules. Rule 1. You don't decide in the moment. The moment is when you're weakest. You decide in advance. You decide that training happens on certain days at a certain time. Then when the time comes, you don't ask questions. You execute. If you keep deciding every day, you will keep losing, because the brain will bargain, and bargaining is weakness. Rule 2. You lower the barrier, not the standard, the barrier. When you don't want to train, make it easy to start. Shoes ready, clothes ready, program ready, gym bag ready. No friction, because friction is what kills discipline. A disciplined man removes friction. He doesn't rely on willpower. He relies on structure. Rule 3. You use the 10-minute rule. Tell yourself you will do 10 minutes. That's it. No pressure. Just 10 minutes. Once you start, the body wakes up. The mind calms down. Momentum appears, and most times, you'll finish the session. But even if you only do 10 minutes, you still won, because you showed up. And showing up is the war. Rule 4. You separate effort from emotion. You can feel bad and still train. You can feel anxious and still train. You can feel tired and still train. Stop treating discomfort like an emergency. It's not an emergency. It's training. When you stop obeying emotion, you become free. Now listen. Training is the purest form of self-respect, because it is you keeping a promise to yourself. And most men don't keep promises to themselves. They keep promises to others because there's a consequence. But they lie to themselves constantly because they can get away with it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start next week. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. That constant self-betrayal destroys a man from the inside. It turns him into a man who can't trust himself. And when you can't trust yourself, your confidence collapses. Because real confidence is not a feeling. It's a record. It's the record of you showing up. So every time you train when you don't want to, you build that record. You build internal authority. That's why disciplined men walk differently. They're not pretending. They have receipts. Now let me tell you what training also does. It inoculates you against weakness. Weakness is not just physical. Weakness is mental. It's giving up early. It's quitting when it's uncomfortable. It's avoiding pain. Training is controlled suffering. It teaches you that pain is survivable. It teaches you that fatigue is not death. It teaches you that discomfort is temporary, and those lessons transfer. When you learn to push through a hard set, you learn to push through a hard conversation. When you learn to finish a workout tired, you learn to finish a project tired. When you learn to show up when you don't feel like it, you learn to show up for your family, even when you're drained. That is masculinity. It is not talking about being strong. It is being strong when it costs you. Now I'm going to address the men who say, "But I'm exhausted." Listen carefully. There is real exhaustion, and there is lazy fatigue. Real exhaustion means you need recovery. You need sleep. You need food. You need rest. And a disciplined man respects recovery because recovery protects performance. But most men are not exhausted. They are undertrained and overstimulated. They stay up late, they scroll, they eat junk, they wake up foggy. Then they call it exhaustion. That's not exhaustion. That's a weak lifestyle. Fix your sleep, fix your food, fix your habits. Then training becomes easier. Not easy, easier. Now another lie. I don't have time. Time is not found. Time is made. You make time for what you respect. Men make time to scroll. Men make time to watch nonsense. Men make time to chase pleasure. They don't make time to train. That's not a time issue. That's a standard issue. If your body is your armor, then training is maintenance. A man does not neglect his armor and then act surprised when he loses battles. So make time, even if it's short, even if it's basic, even if it's only body weight. You train because the standard is not negotiable. Now let's talk about the real enemy. The real enemy is the voice that says, "Skip it, it won't matter." That voice is poison. Because it's not about one workout. It's about what skipping teaches you. Skipping teaches you that your standard is optional. Skipping teaches you that you can betray yourself and still be fine. And that lesson spreads. Soon, you skip more. Soon, you negotiate more. Soon, your discipline disappears, and then you're back to being the man you said you were done being. So never treat skipping as neutral. Skipping is training too. You are training weakness. So instead, you train courage. Courage is not heroic. Courage is quiet. Courage is putting your shoes on when you don't want to. Courage is walking into the gym tired. Courage is starting the first set with heavy arms, and then the body remembers. The body wakes up. The mind settles, and you finish. Not because you felt like it, because you're not a slave to feelings. Now I want you to think about brotherhood and leadership, because this matters. Men respect the man who shows up, not the man who talks. When you train consistently, you become a beacon. You become a man other men can trust. Because if you can keep a promise to yourself, you can keep a promise to others. If you can push through discomfort alone, you can push through discomfort with a team. If you can lead yourself, you can lead men. This is why training is bigger than fitness. It's leadership practice. It's you proving daily that you can be relied on. Now, I'll give you a harsh but simple reality. Some days you will feel like quitting everything. You will feel weak. You will feel behind. You will feel like you're not good enough. Those are dangerous days. Because on those days, you either become a man who collapses, or you become a man who rises. And rising starts with something physical. Get up, move your body, break the inertia. Because inertia is what keeps men depressed and stagnant. Movement creates momentum. Momentum creates hope. Hope creates action. Action creates change. So on your worst days, training might be the thing that saves you, not because it makes you happy, because it reminds you who you are. Now, I want to close with this. Training when you don't want to is a declaration. It says, I am not controlled. Not by mood, not by weather, not by comfort, not by weakness. It says, I am building a man who is strong, a man who is calm, a man who is capable, a man who can endure, a man who can carry weight. That is the man your future self needs. That is the man your family will need. That is the man your brothers will respect. So here is your command. Stop waiting to feel like it. Stop waiting for the perfect day. Stop waiting for motivation. Train anyway. If you're tired, train lighter. If you're stressed, train to clear the mind. If you're angry, train to regain control. If you're unmotivated, train to build discipline. The point is not the perfect workout. The point is the promise. You keep the promise over and over until discipline is not something you do. It's something you are. Train when you don't want to, because that is where you become a man. Because that is the warrior's code.